Coast Guard closed the port this morning for vessel traffic after the last ship went out. We were very focused on getting about 2,000 BMWs out so they didn't have to be on the pier during a storm. So we did that successfully. And because the storm looked like it might head south along the coast, we finally decided we needed to close for truck traffic today. We're not experiencing anything that much yet, but we expect that will change. I'm actually in France on the way back, so I'll get to fly back into the middle of all of it. So,
you know, you bring up an interesting point, Jim, which is where does the authority lie ultimately as far as reopening? Is it with you or is it with the U.S. Coast Guard?
So the Coast Guard has the sole authority over harbor conditions, and they have like a 4-step notice process, and they went through that. Condition Whiskey, Yankee, X-ray, and then Zulu. And so they will then reopen the harbor, and that has mainly to do with aids to navigation, the buoy system, and typically if there's a real significant hit from a storm, they need to survey the harbor to make sure the depths are still accurate. And that can take some time. They normally are very efficient in trying to do it, but they're very also concerned with safety. So it's a process. As far as the gates go, it's up to the port. I mean, we own and operate the port. I guess our current thinking is we're closed Thursday and Friday. We'll have to see what happens Saturday. It looks like in the end of the day, it may be more of a rain event for us than anything else, but we just have to keep our eyes on it.
Yeah. And
what we do typically is we secure the cranes. We secure all of our lift machines. Believe it or not, one of the biggest risks are the wireless infrastructure. You have a lot of wireless on a port to make sure you communicate with your lift machines, and that can really get damaged in a wind event. So we hope to avoid the worst of the winds. How
concerned are you about a possible storm surge? How much capacity do you have for the water level rising?
So we have, our wharf at the Wando terminal where you and I met that day is 16 feet above mean low tide, so that would be 10 feet above high tide. I'm not seeing any projections right now of anything that would, cause concern there. But as we know with storms, they're unpredictable, so one can never really be totally sure. And there's not a whole lot we can do about that, honestly, right now. I mean, at any one time, we've got about 25,000 containers on our terminal. Believe it or not, we're most concerned about the empties because the loads are heavy. They weigh 25 tons, so they're not really going anywhere. But we have to strap the empties together to keep them in a block so they don't, because they can actually go flying around in a big wind event.
Yeah, and
the good news is our team is.
You also noted the automobiles, Jim, which if people aren't familiar with it, we tried to show a little bit of it when we were down there, is that almost every X5 BMW in the world is made in Greenville and then is railed up to where you are. And there's a facility near your port which has, I don't know how many, a couple of thousand of cars. Obviously a risk there if the water were to rise. Forget about the economic damage. You've got these heavy cars that would be floating around. Have you guys been successfully able to remove almost all of those BMWs from literally right up against the water?
Well, so BMW is very good at this type of contingency planning. So what they tend to do, and we do in cooperation with them, they encourage as many ships in to take the cars that are on the dock out. So we've had like 4 car ships in the last 2 days, and we're able to get about 2,500 cars out. What they don't get out on a ship, they're going to take back on a train to either Greenville or to a neutral location or take back on trucks. So I'm not there right now, but I imagine if you look on our wharf right now, there's not a BMW sitting there right now. And that's just part of the very good contingency planning that they do. They're just very professional at these things. And